All right. Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good Friday. Got the weekend coming up. Hope you have a great weekend. I just hope you're doing great all around. This video, let's see, what's the best way to put this? This video is kind of a response to some requests that a user made, and I got the user's permission to make this video. I told him, I said it would be a lot easier if I address some of these issues with a video instead of having to type everything out, because it would require a lot of typing. So that's what I asked of him, and he agreed. And I also told him I wouldn't mention his name if he didn't want me to, but he was fine with that. His name is Patrick. And Patrick, thank you very much for the recommendations. I'm always glad to hear anyone's feedback, whether it's good or bad, or as in Patrick's case, he had some possible recommendations that he would like for me to consider. And I always consider any recommendations. But I asked his permission to do this video, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go through the recommendations and either explain some things or show how to do some of the things that he may have been asking about. So what I did, I copied his recommendations. I've got them here on the text editor. So I'm going to go through these one at a time, and we'll just talk about it. Now, before I get into this, MiyoLinux has a philosophy. And that philosophy is to provide a base system that allows the user to Miyo it, and Miyo, that's short for make it your own. So a lot of times, someone who may not really be familiar with what MiyoLinux is all about, they might think, why doesn't he include a web browser, or why doesn't he include an office suite, or any number of things. Well, that's my philosophy. I want the user to be able to use whatever web browser they want to use, whatever office suite they want to use, whatever music player, and so on and so forth. All I do, I provide a base system. I try to make the base system, look halfway decent. But I provide a base system with a minimal amount of tools so that you can just do some basic things. And if you want to build on top of that, that's what it's for. All right, now let's go through Patrick's requests or recommendations, and let me see if I can either explain some things, or maybe put this in my pocket for a future release. All right, the first recommendation is to add an option to change the wallpaper. Add an option to the desktop menu to change the wallpaper. Now, unfortunately, I'm thinking that Patrick may have gotten the latest release. And in the latest release, let me open up my auto start file. And I actually talk about this. This was the first time I had used this method for setting a wallpaper. And the main reason I did it this way is just to save on resource usage. That's another philosophy of MiyoLinux. It's mainly intended for people with older hardware. So if I can do something that will cut down on resource usage, then I would like to do that. So here's the wallpaper section, and I go through here, blah, 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 lots of useless information. But I'm using HSet root for the wallpaper. In other words, the wallpaper is set using HSet root. Now, normally, I would have used something like nitrogen or fe. I don't know how it's pronounced. But normally I would have used something like nitrogen or fe to set the wallpapers. And I guess I could write some kind of script to make a wallpaper changer, but I'm just going to be honest, I don't have any interest in doing that. So my suggestion is to install nitrogen or fe. And what you'd want to do if you do that, you'd need to add that to your auto start file. Like if you installed nitrogen, you would add this right here to your auto start file. You can comment out. Let me go ahead and I'll just do it in the auto start file, because that would make more sense for you to see it, how it would actually be done. Let me change the font here so it'll be easier to see. Alright, come down here to the wallpaper section, and if you installed nitrogen, you'd want to comment out this HSet root, or if you're running the wallpaper changer script, you'd want to comment that out if it's uncommented. And if you installed nitrogen and use that to set your wallpaper, you would add nitrogen dash restore ampersand. Okay. And let me close that. And no, I'm not going to save the changes. So that's why there is no option in the menu for an easy way to change the wallpaper, because there's already applications out there that'll do that. Okay. Use LXAppearance GTK3 instead of the GTK2 version. Well, I can understand that. However, there is no LXAppearance GTK3 in the Debian or Dev1, since Dev1 is using Debian's packages. There is no GTK3 version of LXAppearance. Even in SID, or in Dev1's case, Ceres, they're still using the GTK2 version. So that would mean I would have to build it, and I really don't want to have to build a package to include in a release. Since there is no GTK3 version available in the repositories, then for now it's just GTK2. I apologize for that. I don't have a problem building packages for myself, but I'm not that big on building a package to just include in the releases of MiyoLinux, because I don't know what might happen. down the road. So, unfortunately, for those who want the GTK3 version of LXAppearance, we'll just have to wait and see whenever it has to come to Debian first before it comes to Devwin. So we'll just have to wait until that becomes available. He would like to make Network Manager Applet the default network manager. Those of you familiar with MiyoLinux, I use Conman UI as the network manager. Now, I have two reasons for doing that. Number one, it's lighter on resources. And number two, I like to give, what's the best way to say this? I like to give lesser known projects a little bit of exposure. I have never had an issue with this network manager. It has always worked perfect for me. I'm not saying it's going to work perfect for everyone. However, if you want to make it your own, you can get rid of this network manager and install LXAppearance or network manager. There was an issue with network manager at one time on Devwin, and I'm not sure. Last I heard, it was working fine now. So that's another reason I don't use network manager on Devwin. There have been times it just didn't work correctly on Devwin. But this is to me, it's a fantastic network manager, and I like giving this some exposure and just let more people know about it. Okay. Replace LeafPad with, let me highlight that. Replace LeafPad with a more powerful text editor like MousePad or Pluma. This will make editing the configs easier to read and change. Well, I can understand that. However, LeafPad is my favorite text editor. Anytime I have ever coded something, I've always used LeafPad. I know there are more powerful text editors that will highlight and, show certain types of code in one color and another type in another color, stuff like that. But this goes back to the philosophy of MiyoLinux. Just provide some basic tools that will allow the user to do some stuff, and if they want to replace it, they can. Or if they're happy with what's provided, that's fine too. So as long as I can use LeafPad, it's going to be the text editor in MiyoLinux. So if a user wants to use a different text editor, they're free to install another text editor. Another reason for MiyoLinux is to provide a system where you might have some applications that you really like, and you might install a system and then you end up having to remove a bunch of stuff because you want to replace it with the things that you like. Well, hopefully with MiyoLinux you don't have to do very much of that. That's actually what led me to create MiyoLinux, is because after I got used to using Linux and I started playing around with it, I learned the applications that I liked, and when I install a system, I would end up spending so much time removing stuff and replacing it with the things that I wanted to use. So hopefully there's not a lot of stuff on MiyoLinux, and there's not. Hopefully there's not a lot of stuff that you might have to remove if you'd rather use something else. So I'm going to keep LeafPad on there, and I know it's not for everybody. I know it's very basic, but that's the way I like it, and it works for me and my use case. All right, use Conkey to display system information in the desktop. I actually used to include Conkey. At one time, I coded a Conkey application where you could choose, I think I had 6 different styles of Conkeys that you could choose from to display on your desktop. And I just got to the point where I didn't pay any attention to the Conkey that was on my screen. I mean, you know, I might glance at it every now and then. So this is one of those situations, you know, I might go back to including a Conkey, or I may not. I personally don't use a Conkey myself, and I figure most people who would try MiyoLinux probably are familiar with Conkey, and they know how to set it up and use it. So I just figured, you know, if somebody wants a Conkey, they can install it themselves and do what they want with it. So I will take that into consideration about whether or not to include Conkey again. So let's go to the next one. Add the ability to add desktop icons. And he's not sure how to do that. All right, I will show you how to do that. First thing you'll want to do, let me open up the file manager as root. And what we're going to do, we're going to go to File System, User, Share, Applications. All right. Here we have Desktop Preferences. Now, if you notice, when you open the menu, that would be under Settings. There is no Desktop Preferences. And that's because I'm sneaky. I go in here, I open this up with my text editor. Let me make that full size, and I'll increase the font on it. Now what you'll want to do is go all the way to the bottom. And I add this line right here so that it doesn't appear in the menu. So you can either just comment that out, or you can just erase that line. I'll comment it out. I will save it. And now it should appear in my menu. But it's not. I might have to log out and log back in for it to appear. Okay, let's see. How can I do this since it didn't appear? See if I can do. No. Desktop. Okay. Let me do this. I promise it will appear in your menu. If you do that, you might have to log out and log back in. User, share, applications. Let me execute that. Ah, that's why. Okay, now it's been so long since I've done this. What this does, let me open it with my text editor. What you have to do is add something to your auto start file. Let's go down to the execute line. There it is. Now I've never used -pref. Alright, so what you'd want to do is, after you've set that up so that it shows in your menu, you'll want to go to your auto start file, and somewhere in here, up here at the top, I'll just add it right here. You want to put PCman FM --desktop ampersand. And what that's going to do, that's going to allow PCman FM to control your desktop, which will allow you to put icons on your desktop, and it will also control your wallpapers. So I'm not going to save that because I don't want PCman FM controlling my desktop, but I'm going to show you how that works. Save changes, no. So let me open up my run command. PCman FM --desktop. And you see I just lost my wallpaper, and I really hope that I'm still recording. And you can see it's got the trash icon already on there. You can right click on the desktop, go to desktop preferences, and I'll do stretch to fit the monitor area, whichever one you want to use there. Now we have to go to our wallpaper folder, and I was using Simplice. I'll open that. Now we have our wallpaper. Now we'll come over here to desktop icons. If you want to show the documents folder, put a check mark there, and there's documents. Oh dear, look at that. I didn't notice. Stretch to fill. Let's try that. There we go. There's our documents folder. Show connected volumes. If you want, like when you plug in a USB, you want it to show up here on your desktop, you can put a check mark there. Now let's go to advanced. Show menus provided by the window manager when the desktop is clicked. In other words, if you want this menu right here, if you want that menu instead of this right here, then you would put a check mark right there. Now let's try that. And there we have our regular menu. Or if you'd rather have, you can come down here on the panel and right click and it'll open the menu, and you'll have this little desktop menu right here. Okay. So what about adding things to the desktop? Well, let's open our file manager. That's the root file manager. I don't want that. Let's open our file manager, and let's say we want something to appear on our desktop. Well, we'll go to our desktop folder. Let's find something we want to appear on the desktop. User, share, applications, and let's say we wanted GIMP to show on our desktop. So I would right click on GIMP, I would copy it, and I would paste it in there. And now we have GIMP. Let's find something else. Let's say we want Synaptic. So I would click on Synaptic, right click on it, copy, paste. And then we have Synaptic. So that's the way that would work. And if you ever want to get anything off your desktop, just remove it. Okay? Excuse me. All right. Let's make a YAD script to add shortcuts on the panel easier. Well, that's what Tint 2 settings is for. So if you want to add something to the panel, let's do that real quick just to show how it's done. Of course, I'm saying quick. It's not very quick, is it? I use old hardware, baby. Come up here, the one that's highlighted, that's the one we're using right now for our panel. So edit the theme. And if you already know this, I apologize, but there might be people who might, they might get some benefit from me showing this. This always takes a minute on this computer, because this computer is pretty low spec. But it's actually pretty easy to add something to your panel if you want to. So first of all, we're going to look at panel items. In panel items, right here on the left, if you see my mouse moving, click on that. We have a taskbar, system tray, and clock. So we want to put launcher. So click one time on launcher, move it over there. Then come over here and click on it one time. And if you want your launchers over here on the left side of your panel, you'll want to move it up to the top. Okay? Let's apply that. Now let's go to launcher. So anything we want over here, let's say we want our file manager, we'll move it over there. Let's say we want Xterm, we'll move it over there. VLC, I'll move it over there. That's enough for now. So let's apply that. And there's our launchers. Okay. So now I can click on these and it'll open them up. I'll just click on PCman FM and there it is. If you want some space in here, just kind of scroll down here a little bit, and right here where it says spacing, let's put that on about, I'll say 10. Apply it, And now we have a little bit of space in between those. Of course, you can adjust that to however, you want to, if you want more space or less space, whatever. Okay. Let's close that. By default, set the Qt5 theme to GTK2 using Qt5CT for UI consistency. That's a very good suggestion, but I don't know if anybody is actually going to want that. So I don't want to force an application, which that's what Qt5CT. I don't want to force an application on somebody. It can easily be installed if somebody wants that. However, Patrick, that is a very good recommendation, and I might consider that for a future release. There's a weird delay when opening the calendar. Please fix. Alright, let's see. I'm going to click on the and it opened. Close. I guess there is a short delay. I'm not sure. I made that calendar with YAD. Let's see, what is that calendar called? Let me open up Synaptic. I don't think I can do anything to increase how fast that calendar opens because it's calling for YAD. I used to know the name of this calendar by heart, but now I don't remember it. Come on, Synaptic. Calendar. I don't think that was it. GNOME calendar, that's not GSimpleCal. That's what it is. Let me install that. And that's like a little basic calendar. While that's installing, let me open up Tent 2 settings again. Let me edit the theme. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to change from the calendar that I'm using. Well, I'm not going to change it. I'll add it to, instead of left click, I'll put GSimpleCal as the right click just so we can test it. Looks like that has finished. Alright. Clock. Alright. GSimpleCal. Let's apply that. And let's just see. Now that's the right click command. Let's see if it's faster. That is faster. Okay. Yeah, it's a little faster. So you can do that. If you don't like using the YAD calendar that I provide, just install GSimpleCal and make that your default calendar. Okay. The reason I make a calendar out of YAD is I prefer the look of it over this right here. All right. I know this is a long and boring video, but I'm trying to cover all this. And finally, setting the desktop theme will also change the app themes. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really sure what you're wanting, but that would be handled through LXAppearance. Oops. You change this, the widgets. That's like if you wanted a light theme, then you'd have to come over here and change the icon theme. And so forth. I guess that's what you're getting at with that. I'm not sure. But, I mean, LXAppearance takes care of that. So, I realize it might be nice to have something if you change to a dark theme or a light theme, it automatically changes the icon theme. But, you know, there's already LXAppearance to handle that. So, that's probably not anything I would write a script for. Okay, well, I think that covered all of them. Now, let me end this by saying, Patrick, I appreciate the requests or recommendations. Some of those I will take into account and consider, but some of them I hope I've explained why I'm doing things the way I do and why I will keep doing things the way I do. You know, as someone who creates a respin, you're not able to make everybody really happy with the decisions that you make. All that I or any creator can do is do the best we can do. If we have a philosophy like I have with MiyoLinux, I try to do what I can within that philosophy to stay true to the philosophy. So I hope that makes sense, and I really appreciate it, Patrick. Thank you so much for your interest. And anybody else, you know, always feel free to send me any type of recommendations or requests, and I promise you, I'm not just writing these requests that he made off, because I can understand people wanting these items. But at the same time, I need to stay true to the philosophy that I have behind MiyoLinux and just keep moving forward with that. So there you go. I hope that explains some things. I hope it helped. And you guys have a great weekend coming up. All right? Thanks a lot and take care.